Up next is someone that I never fail to learn from whenever I hear him talk. I'm very excited to see his demo this time. He is the head chef of Polyscience. He's responsible for creating the vast majority of their cooking content, and he is someone who is able to explain the products in great depth from multiple perspectives, and he packages it in a way that's beautiful, inspirational, and educational. He also makes a mean cocktail, something, as we said, we could all use this year. So please welcome Chef David Pietranczyk from Polyscience.
Hey folks, what's up? Today we're going to do a colonial era cocktail that dates back to the 1650s and the beginnings of the importation of rum. It first appeared in the 1862 Jerry Thomas's guide, How to Mix Drinks, alternatively called the Bon Vivant's Companion. If you've ever had a hot toddy, it's similar to that, except this is made with rum, butter, and a slew of holiday spices commonly found in tiki drinks. Today we're talking about hot buttered rum. So let's get into making the drink. So the first step in making this recipe is to prepare the spiced brown butter batch. So I've got some brown butter, some brown sugar, nutmeg, salt, cinnamon, and clove. So while the brown butter is still warm, we're going to go ahead and add our spices and sugar to the brown butter. And we're going to go ahead and stir this up. Now, you're going to want like I said, to do this while it's warm, and then you're going to go ahead and put it in the fridge. It'll settle out on you, and all the spices, the sugar will sink to the bottom. That's okay. So you're going to let that happen, and that's pretty good. That's good enough for now. We're going to let that settle out. And now once it hardens, you're going to pull it out of the fridge and let it soften to room temperature. And that'll allow you to fully incorporate all of the sugar and all of the spices with the butter so that every portion gets the same amount of spice, sugar, and butter. So now that we've got our brown butter batch, we're going to talk about our rum base. So the next step in making this cocktail is to prepare the rum base, which involves, of course, rum, St. Elizabeth allspice dram, also called pimento dram, our 2-to-1 Demerara syrup, which is our master tiki syrup, and I have a whole separate video on that, and some orange bitters. Now you could use whatever rum you've got on hand. I would stay away from a spiced rum. It's probably going to be a bit overkill with the spices. I also wouldn't use something like a Captain Morgan's or a Malibu. Rums like that are artificially sweetened, and it's just going to be overkill. You want something with a little bit of a barrel character. I'm going to go with Plantation 5. Other good choices would be something like Appleton Estate or El Dorado 5, Mount Gay. Those would all be good choices. You could probably even use a Pusser's. Pusser's might be a little bit sweet, but it might be one that you have on hand. So any of those would be good choices. You could get a little funky and use something like a Dr. Bird or a Smith & Cross. But Dr. Bird and Smith & Cross are a little bit higher in proof, and because the drink is served hot, you really get a sense of the proof as you're drinking it. So you want to choose something that's a little lower in proof because it might be a little bit overkill for some of your guests. So we're going to go ahead. I forgot to mention I have 4 ounces of water here in this vacuum bag, and I'm going to go ahead and add 2 ounces of my rum. Going to add 2 ounces of rum to the bag. Perfect. We're going to add 1/4 ounce of our pimento dram. And you could go up to about 1/2 ounce, but 1/4 ounce is kind of what I like. Feel free to make it as spiced as you like. We're going to do 2 dashes of orange bitters. These are Fee Brothers. Reagan's are also good. Or some people blend Fee Brothers and Reagan's in equal parts and call it Fegans. Fee Brothers is a little bit more aromatic. Reagan's is a little bit more flavorful, so mixing the two together, you get a really nice orange profile. We're going to use 1/2 ounce of our 2-to-1 Demerara syrup. You could go with a 1/4 ounce, but I feel like the 1/2 ounce gives it a little bit more body in the cocktail. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and vacuum seal this. And the benefit of using sous vide to make this cocktail is that you can let your portions float hot. The way that you would traditionally prepare this beverage is take your butter base, add it to your glass, add your rum, and then pour hot water over it. But if you're making a lot of them, you kind of got to do that over and over and over. With sous vide, because I'm not going to lose any alcohol and everything is perfectly portioned, I can just let my portions float in the bag. I'm going to cook it at 85 Celsius for 5 minutes because I want to get it to temp quick, and this is how I would do it, kind of a la minute. But you could certainly keep the bath anywhere from like 75 to 80 degrees Celsius and just kind of let them float all night and they'd be totally fine. So we're going to go ahead and vacuum seal this up. All right, so we've got our vacuum sealed portion. And now you could make this into 2 short drinks for sort of like a welcome beverage for your guests, or you could just drink this on your own. Because it's got that 4 ounces of water in there, you can enjoy a beverage of this size without any worry. So we're going to go ahead and add this to our bath at 85 Celsius for 5 minutes to heat it up, and we're going to move on to the last step of our cocktail before we put it all together. Now the last step to make this cocktail is to prepare our French press. Now this step is totally optional, but I think it really adds something to the drink. And during the holidays, you kind of, gild the lilies or kind of go a little bit bigger. But I do think, again, this isn't just for show. It really does add something to the cocktail. So we've got some spices, and you could use whatever you like. Feel free to experiment. I've got some cinnamon sticks here, star anise, peppercorns, and whole cloves, and we're also going to add a little bit of orange peel. Now you could add things like sage might be good, or a little bit of maple syrup, sassafras bark if you've got it. You can experiment with all sorts of spices in here and different levels of infusion. Anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes is a good start. So we're going to go ahead and add our spices to our French press. And we're going to add some orange zest, nice big fat strip of it. But we're going to express it, so we're just going to gently kind of squeeze the oils out of it and then rub it on the inside of the glass to coat the glass with those oils to make sure we really get that orange flavor in the finished cocktail. So now we've got our French press prepared. So we're going to go ahead and preheat our serving glass. And this step is critical because if you don't do this, you're going to lose a lot of heat to the glass. And this cocktail is best warm. Now I'm just going to use whatever comes out of my faucet, and for me that's about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm just going to fill this glass with hot water and let it set while my cocktail is heating through, and that'll be enough to preheat this glass. And then once that cocktail comes out, we're going to add it to our French press for the infusion, and then we'll taste it. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up. All right, so we've got our preheated glass, our prepared French press, and we're going to pull our cocktail out of our sous vide bath. So we've got our heated cocktail. We're going to cut this bag open. And we're going to pour this into our French press. And we're going to let it steep for anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. I'm going to go on the side of 3 minutes. Let that infuse, and then we'll prepare our drink. All right, so after 3 minutes, we're going to go ahead and dump out our hot water from our serving glass. and we're going to add about a full bar spoon, kind of a heaping bar spoon of our spiced brown butter batch to our glass. I mean, it is a hot buttered rum, so you want to make it buttery. You can do as much or as little as you like, but trust me on this one. And then we're gonna pour our hot cocktail right over it. And then we're gonna stir it kind of vigorously to make sure that that butter is fully melted and fully incorporated. And all those spices and sugars incorporate with the drink. And there you have it. That is the hot buttered rum. So let's go ahead and give it a taste. Oh, that's delicious. It tastes like the holidays. You get rum, you get a little bit of proof. The butter kind of coats your lips, not in a greasy sort of way. It's rather pleasant. It's not as thick as you'd expect it to be. It's just a nice, warm, hot cocktail. You definitely get the orange bitters, you get the orange peel. You taste everything. You taste the cinnamon, you taste the clove, you taste the nutmeg. It's a really nice drink, and when you hand somebody a warm cocktail over the holidays, I call that a win. So that's it. That's the hot buttered rum. I'm Dave from PolyScience. Follow us on all of our social media channels at PolyScience. Thanks to the ISVA guys for inviting me to do a recipe for y'all, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, folks. Happy holidays.
I love the look of sheer joy on Dave's face when he tastes that drink. It just makes me so jealous that I don't have one in my hand. If you enjoy that demo, give Chef Pietranczyk some love in the comments. He's also here with us today, so we're going to bring him on the virtual stage to answer any questions you have. So if you have any more, throw them in the comments section, and I got a few here for that people have been asking. So let's bring him up here with me. Hello, sir. We don't have sound on you quite yet. Hey, there we go.
That works. What's up?
Hey, Chef. I mean, first off, we have to start off with what everyone mentions every time they see that video, which is, what's up with that shirt? That is an amazing shirt. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, so I got to give my wife the credit on that one. It's made by a company, RS. I'll write it in the comments, but I actually don't know their website or anything. But they make a lot of awesome shirts. They made a Ninja Turtle tiki shirt that sold out like instantly, and a buddy of mine got it, and I can tell you it's epic. But they're super high quality shirts. They're it's a different material. It's like moisture wicking. It's awesome.
Nice. If anyone knows anyone at that company and they want to sponsor the next ISVA showcase, we will be happy to do that. I like that Scott Heimendinger from Anova in the comments naively asked about cocktail ice, making a joke about what time and temperature for that. I was like, unless you have like 45 minutes, you never want to ask Chef Pietranczyk about cocktail ice.
Yeah, that's about right. The ice is the best, or is the most important part of a cocktail. When Aviary opened, they did a video about their whole bar program, and Micah Melton, who's I think he's still the beverage director there. In the video, he said that ice is the most important component, and at that time, that was like, I don't know, it was like 5-6 years ago, and I really wasn't into cocktails per se, and I kind of just blew it off like, oh, that's one of those Alinea things. And then I was like, oh yeah, ice is the most important part of the drink.
It's one of those classic things. You're like, oh, well, I don't know if that's true. And then you actually start getting more knowledge. You're like, oh, that is true. I just didn't know what I was talking about before.
Yeah, I mean, it contributes so much to the drink, and taking an opportunity to flavor it. If you make like a flavored ice, I mean, there's so many directions you can go with it. So yeah, unless you want me to go on for like the next 45 minutes, we'll cap that one off there. Maybe at the summit, we'll do a hands-on session on ice.
Yeah, like Richard, a big friend of the ISVA, said, was wondering when you're given the introduction to rums class. We might have to do a hands-on evening session at the
I was just about to
summit.
say, I feel like that'll be one of the sessions in the lounge of the hotel on the opening evening. I'm down with that.
I like that. We're just bringing like eight or 10 different bottles of rum, and we can make some cocktails and have a good networking session.
As a matter of fact, one of the tiki meccas, actually there's a couple that are actually in San Francisco, the one being Smuggler's Cove, Tiki Teas, a bunch of other ones, but I would enjoy a learning field trip to Smuggler's Cove for extended research.
We've talked about trying to do something like the day before, that if people often get in, the day before stuff happens and we don't have too much going on. We thought we could do a kind of a VIP type networking event. So that might be a perfect idea. We could go do some rum and stuff and get you some good education, and us all a really good time hanging out with some really masterful people.
Yeah, I'm down.
So we had a question that said, what does the French press add to the infusion process over just doing it with tea bags in a cup?
You could do either. A presentation for French press is a little bit nicer, I guess. But yeah, tea bags would be totally fine. And honestly, the drink isn't the most beautiful thing in the world. I would serve it in like a nicer mug rather than a clear glass. Most tiki drinks look like dirty pond water. That's why they're served in ceramic mugs that you can't see through. But this, appropriate vessel would really be a mug, but I didn't have a beautiful mug, so I went with a glass. So just trying to kind of like make it look as nice as possible. I went with the French press and then the glass.
Like Darren says, ice doesn't matter. Real drinkers don't use it. They drink right out of the bottle.
Yeah, to a point. There's only so many that you can chain together, and tiki drinks have a lot of drinks, so it's a very hard, thing to do. So you kind of got to put it in a glass at some point.
It's like flashbacks to college there. Do a deconstructed margarita is poured directly into the mouth.
Yeah, I've never done that.
That you're not missing anything. You should not start now. Kelly was wondering, is there a recipe for the allspice dram, or can you talk a little bit about what goes into that?
Yeah, so I forget the name of the main importer, but if you go back to my session from the virtual summit, or if you just Google St. Elizabeth allspice dram, you'll come across there's a company who makes Batavia Iraq allspice dram. And there's like one other funky spirit that I enjoy that I always forget that they make it, but they make all those like weird modifiers. Actually, Batavia Rec you could use as base spirit. But anyways, the allspice dram, it's pretty much just like an allspice liqueur. It's sweet, and it's used in a bunch of tiki cocktails. They also use it in like jerk chicken recipes and some other things. Alton Brown, I know, has a recipe for allspice dram on his website. That's pretty good, and if I'm not mistaken, it's actually a sous vide recipe. I could be wrong about that, but I swear it was an allspice, or it was a sous vide recipe. I just always have it on hand, so I've never just had to make it. I always just kind of have a bottle. So yeah.
What's your favorite? I know tiki is your favorite style of cocktail, but what's your favorite specific cocktail to make?
Jesus, I don't know. That's like asking, like, I don't know, what's your favorite child? My favorite to make or my favorite to consume?
Yes.
My favorite drink to make is a Hale Kalani, which is it's very not, it's a tiki cocktail that is very not typical of tiki. So it uses bourbon as the base. And then it has orange juice, pineapple juice, and lemon juice in it. It is shaken and then strained into a chilled coupe. Again, super not typical of tiki cocktails. The body, the texture of that cocktail is phenomenal. I also slip a 1/4 ounce of St. Elizabeth allspice jam into that drink. It doesn't typically call for it, but you add a healthy couple dashes of Angostura bitters, and I think the allspice jam kind of enhances that. So I like making that drink. It just has a really great mouthfeel. I'll try to type that in the comments if I remember to do so. So that's my favorite to make. My favorite drink to consume is the Loaded to the Gun Walls from Aviary. So the Loaded to the Gun Walls is a Batavia, Iraq based drink. So Batavia, Iraq is a very funky rum. When you smell it, it almost smells like gasoline mixed with like an old man's sofa and like cigars. It's really
Ooh, I'm thirsty.
Yeah, it sounds delicious, doesn't it? But it really is. It's really funky, really, really cool. It doesn't taste how it smells. So they bring you this, first the candelabra appears at your table because it's aviary, you know, and then they bring you a glass ship in a bottle that has this, you know, cocktail kind of floating in the bottom. And then they take a coconut and they fire a mace distillation that they make with the Rotavap. And they fire this mace distillation into this like half coconut shell, and it perfumes it pretty intensely actually. And then they pour the ship in a bottle into the coconut. Man, that drink is just, every time I have it pretty much every time I go, and I never get sick of it. It's so good. So that would be my favorite to consume and my favorite to make.
I love that. And the final question here is by Kay, who says, can you kind of clarify what Polyscience and Breville, how they work together? She says, is that a partnership, or can you go into that just a tad? Because everyone sees both names are such big culinary brands out there.
Yeah, so the brand officially, Breville Polyscience, it's like Breville, not a hyphen, I don't even know what you call that thing, but the vertical line, Breville Polyscience, that is our official name, the commercial division of Breville. Breville purchased the Polyscience culinary division. There's a company called Preston Industries in Niles, Illinois. That's where I started my job. And they had a culinary division, a laboratory division, and actually nobody knows this, but a magazine division, and they published photography magazines as well. And the photography business folded around 2012, if I'm not mistaken. And then in 2014, Philip sold the culinary division to Breville to help it to grow beyond what he could accomplish there, and to be able to focus again sort of on the laboratory side of the business. So yeah, we are part of Breville. We are the commercial division of Breville.
Awesome. Well, Chef, thank you for coming on. I always love seeing your demos. You do some amazing stuff that always makes me thirsty and hungry, and you always do a great job. And it's always so descriptive and really goes into what's in there. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Maybe next time I'll cook something. I'm not sure, but maybe next time I'll actually cook something. I don't know.
It'd be so disappointing if it wasn't just a cocktail, you know?
Maybe I'll pair it with a cocktail, and I'll do best of both worlds. I'll prove that I can actually cook food next time.
I like it. Well, you can at least, everyone will be happy with the cocktails, even if they don't get to eat. So it'll be fine.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye, Chef.